After playing a ton of Marvel Rivals and climbing through the ranks, there's one mechanic that almost no one used correctly. And when you do use it correctly, it's almost impossible to lose a fight. Now, the mechanic I'm talking about is the third-person camera. And I'm going to give you guys 3 ways that you should be abusing it to win more. And I'm going to explain to you guys how third-person might be ruining your aim. So let's get right into it. Now, if you don't know already, in Marvel Rivals, and actually a lot of third-person shooter games, when you shoot, if you aim to the right of someone, even if you're not on them, you might hit them because your bullet comes from your character model and it actually fires a real projectile towards the target. And even if your crosshair isn't on the target, the projectile might hit it while heading towards your crosshair. But the thing is, a lot of people know that already. You've probably seen plenty of videos talking about it, but what most people aren't talking about is the fact that because of that advantage, you can take gunfights that are near impossible to lose. And one of the ways you can do that is having walls to the left of you when you aim compared to the right. And if you don't know why that is, it's because you can aim at someone through the wall without showing your body or your health bar or anything at all. Line up a shot and then strafe out and click them and then strafe back to cover before they can even really react. And on top of this, if you have great ping, you have an insane peeker's advantage, and it just makes it way easier for you to win gunfights like that. If you look at higher ranked players, you'll see them a lot of the time positioning themselves with walls to the left of them so that they can have an advantage for people pushing them and get easy headshots. And that's exactly why sometimes when someone swings you, you feel like you die instantly. It feels like they just hit every shot automatically. But a lot of the time, it's because they already had you lined up before you could even fight. And speaking of pushing people, the second point is pushing versus holding. A lot of people don't think about it in this game and why some maps are so much harder than others. Now, in the past, I've talked about taking space and how to take space and all that, but if you don't know how to take space, that's why it's so hard to get into chokes, especially if you're not doing it from multiple angles and making the enemy team stress. If you just go through one choke, imagine a hallway, and at the end of the hallway, the whole enemy team is sitting there. But because this game is third person, they can see you and you have no clue that they're there. If you start to push into that hallway blindly, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. They don't have to do anything except for wait for you to push until you're so far into that hallway or the choke that you're a free kill. And that's the advantage that you want to put yourself in instead of giving it to the enemy team. On defense, it's obvious how to do that. Pretend each choke is like that hallway. Set yourself up in a choke where you're doing what I call 3-peeking, which is you're peeking around a corner without showing your body. Taking advantage of the camera so you can see where people are when they don't know where you are. And set yourself up and allow them to push into you and wait for them to maybe use an ability or push so far up that there's no health pack, no healers, nothing that they can do to save themselves. And then get the free pick. That's why so many Psylocks will sit around a corner, wait for you to push up, go invis, and then mag dump you instantly. And you feel like, well, there's nothing I could have even done. But you're not thinking about it how they are. But what if you're on attack? How do you set yourself up for stuff like that? Well, it only depends on what character you're playing. If you're playing a tank and you're trying to just push in and take space, you can't really. Your job is to be the one pushing rather than holding. But as a DPS, or if you're playing something like Venom where you're trying to dive or catch people out, then you can take advantage of it. That's why you'll see Spider-Man's waiting at spawn for you, sitting up on a wall like a little rat, holding there, waiting for you to push in and try to regroup with your team. And then before you have a chance to do anything, he hits you with 2 webs, a pull, an uppercut, and you're out of the game again. And realistically, there's almost nothing you can do about that. And you, as a flank character or a flank player, you have to find out, okay, if I know all of their team is here, their tank and all this is here, what angle can I go into on the left, the right, away from the main choke that I can wait for someone to maybe they're going to go for this health pack. And then you wait by it. This is usually a lot easier if you've already gotten a pick. What you see a lot of higher level players do is after they get a pick, sometimes if they're a character like Spider-Man where you know you can't really do a ton without your ultimate, they will wait for all their cooldowns to come back up after getting a pick, sit near the spawn door, but far enough from it that the person can't go back to spawn and far enough away from any health packs that they can't get healed, and wait for whoever they killed to come back out to try to get back to the fight. So they instantly get spawn trapped, and it ends up extremely powerful, especially if you do it to a healer. If you end up getting a healer pick early, you can keep that healer out of the game for the rest of the point cap for your team. But you need to think about things in terms of pushing versus holding. There are times on attack and defense you should be pushing or should be holding. And the third person point of view makes it way easier. Now, the last point about third person is there's even more reason that you should be playing with cover to the left of you, or in general with the enemies to the right of you. Not only is it easier to hit shots when you're aiming to the right, but when you're aiming to the right, your aim is actually faster than it is when aiming to the left. And to not bore you with everything, long story short, the position of the camera compared to your crosshair is set up in a way where it's farther off of your body. It's not actually directly one-to-one. That's why you see the camera above and behind us. And because of this this camera difference, the amount of distance that your crosshair has to travel is slower to the left of you than it is to the right. And that's why sometimes your aim might feel off. It's like, well, why can I instantly snap on someone when they're to the right of me? But whenever they're to the left, it's like I can't keep up. It's like I'm moving slower, but you are. That's exactly what's happening. And it's something that a lot of people don't realize because Marvel Rivals is one of the most popular in recent times third-person games. A lot of shooters up to this point have been completely first-person. So having this and then having Deadlock as well come out, it was a big learning curve for a lot of people, and a lot of people who didn't understand the way third-person works were at a huge disadvantage compared to people who did. Now, speaking of disadvantages, if you don't want to put yourself at a major disadvantage, check out these 34 minutes of brutally honest Marvel Rivals advice. Have a good one, everyone. God bless you.